Hey listeners, during this time when we're navigating all of this fast-paced energy, it is so important to find people to walk with you. Check out my website, megmichaelson.com, and click on the Transforming Yourself entry sessions. You can do that on your own. It's great with a partner if you're having relationship issues, because I do counsel one-on-one, but I also counsel partners. Join me. It is a fast way to get more awake and to get out of our own way. And I'd be so honored to work with you. So again, go to my website, megmichaelson.com. I look forward to having sessions with you. Hello, and welcome back to Soul Speak. I'm Meg Michaelson. Thanks so much for joining me. And I am always thrilled when you're here, and I'm always thrilled when you share. So thank you again. In the past, we've talked about what's going on astrologically. And I want to qualify again, I'm not an astrologer. However, I really find it so accurate and fascinating when you are following astrologers that know what they're talking about. So I want to address that in today's episode because this is a really important time in our lives. And like I said, I've skimmed the surface about the astrological shifts, which I'm going to do again today. However, it is because this week is so potent, this is an important time. And we are in February 2024, if you're watching this in February 2024. However, even if you see it a different day, it's still really pertinent. Why? Because we are in a shift that's about 20 years. So this is a big shift from 2023 into 2024 and how it's affecting each one of us individually. Because personally, I have found that when I take a few moments and I look at what's going on energetically around the planetary influences, again, from people that know what they're talking about, it helps me. It helps me with the energy I feel in my daily life. It helps me explain things a little bit better to my clients, because we want to understand why we are feeling a certain way on certain days, certain months. It helps put things in a healthier perspective and can actually provide some relief into, especially when it's urgency energy. It's not always us, right? We're always picking up what's going on around us because we don't live in a bubble. So this time, there are big shifts, and I mean really big shifts in the energy of our planet and our universe over this whole year, especially this month. So as souls living a human experience, we are always changing. And of course, we're always meant to change. We're meant to change every single day. We're meant to have new thoughts every single day. We are meant to try things different in some way every single day, because otherwise you're like that pot of water you put on the stove and you never add new water, or a glass of water you sit on the counter and it becomes gross over time. Same with us. If we're always thinking the same thoughts, if we're always doing the same things, we become kind of sludgy and internally slow. So we are really meant to change. This time in our lives, this next 20 years, we are being offered opportunities to change big. And when we refuse change, just like that dirty water on the counter, when we get that urge to do something different and we don't do it, it really can affect our physical body in unhealthy ways, because it affects our thoughts in unhealthy ways. It affects our emotions in unhealthy ways. Humans are meant to be fluid. Do you know how many people don't fulfill their destiny or find incredible partnership, whether it's business, romantic, friends, because they're too afraid to live fully, to love fully, to take risks? Do you know how many people pass up opportunities that they were destined to live? And then when we die, we're a little disappointed because we didn't take those risks. We didn't follow those nudges. Well, this time in particular, it is so key to follow those nudges. The past 20 years or so, and I'm going to just be really brief, Pluto was in Capricorn. And yes, changes were coming and things were shifting. And we had many changes in our world and many changes within. You know, look at how the tech world changed over the past 20 years, like gangbusters. And for some people and some institutions, the changes were slower. But with this new energy, with this new shift of Pluto and Aquarius, the changes within you might feel like it's going 0 to 60. A huge aha, a huge shift in thought, just like that, just a nanosecond. A dear friend of mine who had planned to live in her house, she lives in California, for years. She just decided she was going to fix it up and live there and maybe Airbnb it so she could travel more. And then one day she had a huge aha and she suddenly decided, I'm putting my house on the market and I'm going to move. It came in a flash thought. So she put her house on the market and she's having a huge internal shift, excitement, not fear, not dread. It just was something that happened. That's what this month is about, February. You might find a huge shift. And if you allow yourself to take that leap, you might find your life changes in beautiful ways because we have a lot of support from all of those beautiful energies that we cannot see. So you might find taking a huge shift in a relationship to the next level and realizing you're ready to open your heart, or it might be ending a relationship because you feel in your whole being it's no longer a shift and you've held too tightly. And of course, we always can do this with loving kindness and grace. So ask yourself, how have you been feeling lately? Just take a moment if you're willing now. Tune in, take a breath. Nice inhale, pause a moment, and a nice, easy exhale. Where do you feel the shifts? Where do you feel that urgency? Where do you feel like something is changing in your inner world or in your external world? And there's some discomfort around it. Some of us will feel it as excitement. Some of us will feel it as angst. And of course, we might feel excitement and angst in the same day. Because these shifts are fast, and sometimes fast is scary, especially to the density of our human body. Because how this affects us first internally, then affects externally, our external circumstances, and it can be an internal shift and also affects the external shift. Like, for instance, if you choose, I'm going to take my love life to the next level, but your partner's not in the same place. Or I'm ready to end this and your partner's not in the same place. Or I'm ready to sell my house, but you have people in the mix that aren't ready. So it does affect your external world, of course. However, we can always navigate it. And right now, during this time, things might actually feel more strange. One of my clients recently told me that they were having so many more deja vus in the last couple months. And then the last 2 weeks, accelerated amount of deja vus. Why? Because we have fast energy going on. And absolutely, that affects everything in our universe. Another client recently told me just last week that he went outside to let his dog out and he noticed the sky and the moon was beautiful and the stars are beautiful. So he called his family to come out and look. And within those short moments, when the family came out, he noticed a huge shift in the sky that could not be explained. No, he wasn't doing drugs. There are huge shifts going on, timelessness, time warp energy. He noticed the stars and the moon shifted really quickly, and it caused a really big shift in him, like a wow, that's crazy. That's how the external can affect us, of course. And then an internal shift happens. And we begin to see and feel things differently. And hopefully, that's what this time is. We feel things differently. We see things differently. And hopefully, we begin to live differently too. Because if we feel things, we see things, and we don't change, it can cause so much disruption between our soul body and our physical earth body. Because remember, shifts are internal and external. Sometimes external first, sometimes internal first. Those fast aha internal shifts, like my friend quickly getting that aha and deciding to sell her home. She's now feeling so free and happy with her decision, and it happened in a nanosecond. And then, of course, that affects the external world. So whatever we're doing, we want to be mindful of that and try to stay in integrity and try to stay in alignment, which means when we get an aha like that, we have to still try to go with the flow because the aha came from our soul self or the higher self. And now if we stay in that line, I'm not going to force things to happen. I'm going to try to move with that grace of flow, that feminine listening, being, letting things come in, but not pushing and making. Because once we start to push and make, now we're losing that alignment of what we are here to do, especially during this time. So notice this month, this year, but of course, absolutely this month. And then be aware of how that changes you, how you're feeling different. And we want to be aware, of course, of how we are responding to that. How are we responding to those shifts and changes? Are we allowing ourselves to change? That faster energy, remember, can cause us to feel excited, and also it can cause us to feel more worry. So if you're going through some internal angst and someone walks in the room, and this is for any of us at any time when we feel internal angst, what happens sometimes? Someone walks in the room and asks a question. We might just want to snap at them, and we might snap at them, or we might just feel this wanting to snap, but we stop ourselves because we're feeling that internal stress. So everything internal comes out. So instead of doing the snap, you can feel the internal stress and just pause and then choose to respond from a different place. Just like that beauty of choosing to respond to sell your house. Choose to do all of that with the grace of our higher self, our higher power, and the help of those beings that we cannot see. And during this time and the next 20 years, this fast pace might cause us to feel like we have to do something. And remember, we might not have all the answers. So again, we want to be in alignment. That means we let ourselves be guided. So when we do have that aha, or we do get a quick solution, we let ourselves find peace and stay open as more answers will come, as more people will step in alignment, as the right partners, as the right friends, as the new job opportunities, as the new homes. Find ways to feel peace every day and stay open to the answers coming. Because when we get the aha and we feel the urge and we feel the change and we don't know what to do, it can cause us a lot of internal stress. So we want to handle that in healthy ways. And when we feel that urge to do something, in previous episodes, I've talked about the balance of masculine and feminine. That's what we're going through now with these new energies. We are meant to be internally learning how to balance our masculine with our feminine. Because sometimes we feel we have to do something. That's the masculine, the doing. And we've gotten so used to being doers in our Western world. The doer, the fixer, the controller, the judger. We can often feel fear when we're learning how to balance that masculine and feminine. The feminine is the one that receives the downloads. The feminine is the one that listens to self and spirit and others. The feminine is the one that allows to be and allow the creativity to come through. And the masculine is the one that takes the action. So we absolutely, every human needs both, and every human needs both to be in a better state of balance. And in order for us to shift that in the world, we have to learn to shift it within us. So that's also what this time is teaching us and leading us to do. Some people feel if they're not always doing, they're losing their strength. They're going to miss opportunities. However, when we allow ourselves to get the aha and then let the steps come in, yes, we have to take action, of course. But when we are marrying the masculine and the feminine together in our own being, we actually get stronger. One of my girlfriends was saying she wants a partner that would get up and make her coffee in the morning and clear the snow off her car and be nurtured. And yet she's a doer. So it's really hard for the universe to bring in that person when we're so used to doing the doing. So we want to start nurturing self. We want to start listening to spirit. We want to start letting people help us. That's how we balance. And that actually causes us, again, to be stronger when we let ourselves nurture ourselves and we let others. Because if we run a lot of masculine energy, it makes us feel safer in the moment, but it also makes us feel much more alone, much more uncomfortable with being intimate as far as with our emotions. When we are allowing, and I've talked about this before, creating a safe container for our own thoughts, for our children's thoughts, for our partner's thoughts. If you're a boss, for your employees' thoughts, creating a safe container, going into wonder. That's how we start to balance this beautiful, powerful energy this month with this strong shift in energy and that urgency we might be feeling. It's truly important to be mindful of how we're reacting. So, all that being said, this is a great time to think big. Think big. What do you want in yourself? What do you want in your life? What do you want in your new self? And what do you really want in your relationships? Remember, things are moving fast with this strong Aquarius energy. And we feel, a lot of us are going to feel that a major overhaul is just on the cusp. We might not fit in with the friend group. We might not fit in with our jobs. We might not fit in with our home anymore, or our neighborhood. We will all be feeling change somewhere. Absolutely. It is everywhere. And as we're navigating this, what do you really want? Again, think big. Think big. And look at how we are reacting in our thoughts and our actions. Because if we want to go after the moon, then we want our thoughts and actions in alignment with that. If we want to go after the moon and we're living in the old history of our old thoughts and the stuck and the disbelief and the glass half empty and not half full, it's going to be really hard to stay in that alignment of bringing things in a faster way. So are you living in your old history, or are you living in the new energy of what you really want? It takes mindfulness, always takes mindfulness, and it takes perseverance, and it takes persistence, and it takes creating a community with other people that want that same thing. Otherwise, we're stuck in thinking of all the things we don't want. That is slow and dense. And we want to get out of the slow and the dense. If you want something different, do something different. Now, for instance, if you're upset about something and you used to call a friend and complain and vent about your work situation or your husband or whatever, instead of doing that, instead of calling a friend that allows you just to complain and vent and not change, do something different. Go for a walk instead. Do some push-ups. Get on the treadmill. Put on some music and dance. Do a few stretches. Choose something different. Write down some solutions on paper. Change the way you're doing it. Instead of the old way of complaining, remember, complaining is just getting stuck in that cycle like the dirty water on the counter. Do it different. Because this year, 2024, and the next 20-year cycle is all about trying new things. And you might be really surprised at what you're capable of. You know, those things that you have wanted to do, or you had a little thought in the back of your head, or you're watching someone else do it and you feel a little bit like jealousy or, gosh, I'd like to try that. A friend of mine recently chose to start painting just out of the blue. I think I'm going to paint on canvas. And he hadn't done that before. He was so pleasantly surprised at once he decided to take the risk and get out of the fear, how easily the paint just flowed on the paper and how much he felt in alignment. Had he not let himself try, had he stayed in the fear of not being good enough, of being afraid of what people will think, I don't know if he was alone in the room or in the room with someone, he would not have realized how much he loved it and how it can just flow. That's the feminine, the flow. We all need it. And now, of course, he loved what he painted, and he has a plan for a series of paints he's going to do, all because one evening he decided to just take the risk. And what about in relationships? A lot of people struggle in relationships when one person wants more freedom than the other. I think sometimes we lose the definition of freedom. When one person feels threatened because the other person is fulfilling their dreams, but the one person feels a little stuck, then the power shifts too much. So this energy we're in now is absolutely going to be affecting relationships. Absolutely. What can we do differently this time? If you're used to fixing, what if you just pause and wait for the answer? Turn it over to your higher power. Ask the universe to co-create. What if we decided to keep reminding ourselves what we want instead of focusing on what the other person needs or isn't getting for us or isn't doing for us? Go into self a little bit more in a healthy way. What is good for me? What is good for me in a relationship? What is good for me in my world? What can I bring in for me? That's what's going on now. So go inward more in healthy ways. What's on your love list? Can you co-create that with the person you're with? Or is it time to move on? Does that person even match your value system? So remind yourself, stretch, and allow the universe to take care of you. This is a time where you might feel that feeling of, remember, big. This is live big time. So this is also about loving big. And sometimes we're afraid to fully love our career, fully love our family, fully love our whatever our hobby is, fully love the person you're with. Because we have a fear that we're going to change or lose ourselves or our life is going to change. Yes, your life is going to change. But we won't lose ourselves. That is a story. That's not a true story. We allow ourselves to be lost. But remember, we don't lose ourselves because we give ourselves away. Some people are so afraid to fully love in whatever regard because they know on some level it's going to change their life. And yet what's happening is they're consistently hurting themselves by not living authentically, by not living big. We want to be able to hold our cup. We want to be able to take care of self. And we also want to be able to let other people take care of us, to take care of others. Remember, no one takes our power away. No one takes our power away. They can't take our power away if we let them love us and nurture us. As long as we are doing that for ourselves, as long as we are allowing ourselves to truly take care of ourselves. It's so important to live the balance of masculine, feminine. Letting someone take care of you, taking care of self. Taking care of another, letting them take care of themselves. And that is a healthier story. So what if in this month, as we're living big and going forward, what if we live by, I'm going to focus on empowering myself. I'm not going to focus on disempowering another or feeling threatened by another because I'm going to live healthfully big. I'm going to hold my heart and I'm going to let other people hold my heart, knowing I'm strong enough that even if someone isn't healthy, I'll know that's not someone that I want to hold my heart, whether it's a friend or a lover. We will always have our freedom. Sometimes we feel that threat again of losing our freedom. Not possible. As long as we are living in integrity, living in alignment, taking care of self, letting this beautiful new energy shift us and checking in. Am I living my destiny? Am I going after what I want? That's freedom. And no one can take that away from us. If we let ourselves go after our interests and our passions and our house and our love and our, whatever it is, a new job, it's when we don't feel freedom, it's because we've stopped ourselves. Remember that. So let someone else have their passions and you have your passions. That's what makes a relationship beautiful with self, children, others. And during this time, remember, when things are moving fast, we might not be sure how to handle a situation because we know we need to change. We feel it, but we're not sure what that change is. Like if, for instance, in a relationship, if you're in a romantic relationship with your partner and you really don't want to have the same battles over and over, you want to break a pattern, it can be so scary. Who's your wisest and most trusted friend? Reach out to that person. Run the situation by them. Not someone that's going to say, oh, no, I understand. And yep, you're right. How about someone that says, Meg, I have a great friend, Suzanne, who will tell me this. Meg, I'm seeing it this way. I think you're telling yourself a story here. Give yourself those people that will be honest, your trusted, true friends. We all need them. Reach out to them before you react. Let yourself first run it by somebody you trust. Because with this new energy, it is going to be very hard to keep doing the same things that have not been working. It's going to be very hard to pretend. Whatever that situation is, every time we start something new, there's always a fear. Whether it's a new job, a new neighborhood, a new passion, a new friend, there's always a new relationship, romantic. There's always a fear, a new way of doing things with your current partner even. Because on some level, we feel like if I try this new thing, if I say this new thing, they might not receive it well. I might get hurt. And then what do? We shut down. We don't do it. Or you have a trusted, true friend that you call who might gently and kindly and loving you kick you in the ass a little bit. That's what we need during this time. We need to know we're meant to move forward with new ways. And it's so important to find those people that are going to push you out of your comfort zone. Those people that you trust, of course. All of these changes, even in your partnership, if you're in that place where you have a partnership or a child or a boss, and you're so tired of the same old conversations, so tired of the same old ways you're doing things, even if you feel like, I don't want to change, I want them to change. And I talked about this last week. You're really doing these changes for you. Because on this beautiful global level where we are being thrust forward so fast, those are all just players in our story. Why? Because we are meant to live big. We're meant to live fully. So any change you're making is going to be much easier if you remember you're not doing it for your partner or your boss or your child. You're doing it for you and your higher self. And then it's easier to say, I'll take the lead. I'll be the big kid. I'll do this because I know it's good for me. Check in with your body. The body doesn't lie. The body is always trying to lead us into the highest good, the best choices, the healthiest choices. So during this fast time, be checking in with your body. If your neck is tight, if your jaw is tight, we're holding on too tightly to the outcome. We're holding on too tightly to control. We're afraid and we're getting stuck in not making the choices that are for our highest good. And remember, those can be scary. So we want to be relying on other people. We want to find people that will help guide us through this time. This new energy is really here to let us find our best selves. And yes, it is so very possible. Please remember that. This new energy is here to let us find our best selves, and it is absolutely possible. Not perfect, possible to live a full life we love. So start to ask yourself, where do you feel more free? What parts of your life do you feel more free? Maybe it's time to start doing more of those things. Maybe that's where you're being led. When you were little and you'd stand outside on the grass and you'd stretch your arms out wide and spin under the sunshine, that beautiful freedom feeling. We can have that in so many areas of our life and still do it with integrity and loving kindness. So pay attention to what's calling you. Pay attention to those nudges more than ever right now. Do that thing, take that risk. And of course, like I said last week about checking in with the pilot, check to make sure all the levers are in place and everything's good to go, because we don't want to just fly off into no man's land. We still want to be led and guided and make sure everything's in place. And then take off. Take those risks you need. Tell those people that you love them. Find ways to explore new hobbies, new ways of doing, new drives. And love yourself first. This is a big time to be checking in and loving yourself first. Write down a few goals. See what happens over the next few months. Even this month, February is a big month of change. So look what happens if you write down a few goals and you're ready to open up to them. if things start to become more clear. I wish you a beautiful week, because it is a beautiful week. This is, remember, Love Month. This is Love Year. Let yourself find ways to love yourself and love others in beautiful, healthy, authentic, fun, risk-taking ways. Do something different. Try something new. I wish you a beautiful week, and I look forward to connecting with you next week. Thank you again.